Hi, and welcome back to our fourth video in this series. Again, my name is Ryan Guffey, and honored to be with you again today.
And hello, my name is Greg Hungerford. As Ryan said, very grateful to be able to be sharing the video series for caregivers with you all.
So as we've done, just want to take a moment to pause and consider what you've been doing connected to this work since last time, and knowing that last time was really around co-regulation. And we went through some empathy stems, some breathing, some neutralizing routines, offering to step away, or maybe there's been some things that you've considered on your own. And just want to take a moment to pause and reflect where you've landed since we were last together. So just take a moment to focus. And if you haven't connected to any of these, then this was just an opportunity to consider. So where you landed is where you've landed, and that's quite all right.
We're going to land back at our supportive framework, awareness and empathy, intention, those wonderful aspects of patience and listening. And we moved through framing this series of starting with you as the caregivers and your connections to self-regulations. Are you aware of what's going on in your head and in your body? What are your intentions for moving about the day? Are you providing yourself empathy and having patience and listening? And then we move to co-regulation and you walking beside your child or your youth. And we continue to emphasize that this work you're doing as a caregiver is not easy. And we know we don't know your world, but your current state in your mind and body is going to directly your ability to co-regulate and or support your child in the moment. And our next step was moving to home. And what are some of those intentional strategies, as Ryan just alluded to, empathy and pausing and walking away, and what intentional strategies can you use in the moment as the adult just to co-regulate and support your child and youth in the moment. So today we did a little welcome back. We're going to do a quick review. We really want to offer some reflection and planning templates, models for you that we hope are just realistic and allow you to be practical and doable in your day-to-day role as a caregiver. And then we're going to explore a wonderful resource called Charting the Life course that our colleagues from the Parent Education Diversity Awareness, PEDA, through the Special School District offer. We're going to close with a slide on resources for follow-up. And then, of course, we're going to say thank you very much for spending time with us with our closing.
Thanks, Greg, for that preview. Now we'll move into a little bit of a review, knowing that co-regulation starts with us as caregivers first, and making that connection in order to build regulation skills within your child or youth, and know that that connects to those structures of a responsive relationship rather than reactive. Some coaching might need to take place, or teaching skills. We connected to, if children don't know, then we need to revisit what we've taught them or what skills that they might need. And sometimes we might need to consider how we structure our environment so kids can strive and learn in a place that's safe and connected. We reviewed this idea of what behavior is, and the big idea that's connected to that was behavior is communication. What has been learned over time from our child or youth, and how might we begin to redirect and shape that behavior that's more regulated, kind, nurturing, and they have the skills moving forward.
We definitely talked about yielding and this idea of an action and that you bring as a caregiver, and any situations ask you just to stop and yield and not dive into situations that may perhaps move from slightly difficult to a situation where there's anger and frustration that may not be helpful for you as a caregiver or your child and youth. We offer this idea of just breathing and taking a slow, deep breath just to center yourself and to bring yourself away from that mid-emotional brain to your prefrontal cortex where you can make proactive decisions. And of course, I'm going to invite you now, just stop what you're doing right now and give yourself permission just to take one slow, deep breath. And you're going to breathe in, you're going to hold, and you're going to breathe out. And we're going to do that together now. And hold, and then breathe out. You can do that 2 or 3 times. You're giving your brain and your nervous system permission just to slow down in that moment. So again, so you can be proactive and not reactive in your actions towards what you're choosing to do in the situation with your child and youth.
So last time we were together, offered this frame as a way of thinking and beginning to plan with intention strategies that you might want to utilize. We talked about intention. Who do I want to be as a caregiver? Maybe I really want to focus on how I'm listening to my child or youth. So I might be paying attention. What am I focusing on? I'm paying attention. Am I talking over them? Am I demanding rather than asking questions or creating space? So then we talked about what that action might look like. What might we see? What might we hear? What signals might our child be sending to us that, yeah, like I feel heard, I feel listened to. Now the frame for today is taking this pyramid and moving to thinking about it, to putting a plan into action. So just invite you to consider this frame as we continue to work through these next few slides with intention, reflection, presence, and an idea of moving forward. So we'll come back to this, but this will be this frame or template that we'll work through. We'll consider events, and based on those events, what are our emotions and our thoughts, and then what are our actions, and then moving to this over here of a frame in which, all right, I want to move from where I currently am to something new. That idea, I want to try something different based on the learning that you've embarked on throughout this series. And again, we'll always stay connected to this supportive framework. Where am I within this? As I'm moving through, how am I showing empathy and compassion towards myself? How am I being patient with myself as I'm trying to implement something that's new or something that's different? So really, as we move through these next couple of slides, like we're creating some consciousness and some awareness and intention in our planning. And so how this will go, I'll share a little bit from my experience. And again, this is mine, certainly different from those of you that are viewing, but a way to kind of model what this might look like. Here we go. So there's times when we're dealing or trying to support our children, and there might be an event. Maybe there's a request made. I need you to do your chores or clean your room or help out around the house. And based on that event, maybe there's the action is, no, I'm not going to do that. You can't make me. And this kind of me in the middle is starting to feel frustrated or angry and this emotion, like what am I feeling in my body? And maybe it is anger. And a thought associated with that is like, how dare you tell me no? You're a 5-year-old, I'm your parent. Like, what are you doing? And my action might be something like, just get out of here, get away, go to your room and leave me be. And it's probably, with all that going on, kind of escalating to a point from like, okay, calm, to yelling. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good as a caregiver. It doesn't feel good from the child's perspective. And what we're offering as we go through this within reflection is in between each one of these spaces, the event, the emotion, the thought, the action. And I might be all the way at the end and I'm like, wow, I didn't handle that well at all. I wish I would have. That point, or that little nugget, if you will, is awareness, right? We're kind of considering what happened. And through that awareness, when we come back to that event again, maybe that I'm told no. So how might I handle it differently in the future? And that's where we're kind of getting ready to move through. And we know that this event, emotion, thought, and action, even though it's in a straight line across our screen here, that's not how it happens. There's multiple events going on or things happening in our home or in our community that really kind of push on us and maybe influencing our emotions and thoughts and how we're responding to our child or youth, and we don't feel regulated. So as we move through this next one, it's supporting how might we come from a place of regulation, thought, kindness, awareness, patience, empathy. Again, those supportive frames that we've been working through. So this is just an example. Again, this is mine, and this is a frame of my youngest, and just taking some time to reflect. So what really does irritate me? So it's a request, and it's the whining. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, so what does it look like? What does it sound like? Well, it's a high-pitched squeal. It's a baby voice when you're not getting your way. And maybe my usual reaction is, use your words. Like, you're not a baby. Just tell me how you're feeling, or just do what I'm asking you to do, right? Like, you're capable. We've taught you how to clean your room. We've supported you in that some of the time, and expect you now to be able to do it, right? So again, experiencing those events and that pause. So what can I try to do when I'm told no? Well, we've offered, hey, maybe I can just kind of pause. I can take a breath. I can show some empathy. I can start to consider, okay, what might her perspective be on this? Like, where is this whining or not wanting to do what I'm asking? What might that be stemming from? And so as I breathe and I just start to consider that, I start to, my energy, right, just kind of starts to shift and it starts to settle. And maybe I can get to this place where, wow, you're really feeling left out because you want to go with your sister and you're wanting to play with someone. You're feeling really isolated, and yeah, you don't want to do your room right now, or you don't want to pick up after yourself. You just want to play, and maybe in some cases, hang out and play with me. So again, just an example of how you might consider and reflect on the event, what it looks like, what it might sound like, what my usual reaction is, and how might I try something different to support myself, along with supporting my child or youth to be regulated, to get through this together, because there are going to be turbulent times. That's the challenges of caregiving. It just is what it is. So again, here is the offering. We're hanging in this idea of awareness and setting intentions, listening to ourselves, being patient, being kind, knowing that we're not always going to get it right, and celebrating when we do, right? So this is an opportunity to pause the video and just consider what might be some of your events, your emotions and actions, and considering this frame, and then working through this template, and just doing a little bit of action planning and considering how you might move forward and what commitments might you want to make after this series. And again, an offering of us, kind of sharing some of our thoughts, how to regulate yourself, how to support your child in their regulation, and then putting some of the pen to paper, if you will, to make it real for you. So again, an opportunity to pause.
Thank you, Ryan. Really resonates with me, especially in my role as a caregiver. And what I really find grateful about what you've offered is that even if in the end I messed up and didn't quite do what I wanted to do as a caregiver, I get a second chance to still reflect and just try a little harder and do a little better that next time around. So I really appreciate that chance and appreciate your personal sharing. It's not easy being a caregiver at all.
You know,
We
and
also want to
sorry, Greg, you know, some, like, it just stemmed for me. Like sometimes at the end of it, like one simple action can just be, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't handle that well.
Yeah.
You know, will you forgive me? And I'll try this differently. What might you try differently, kiddo, in this situation? So that of kind of coming back and repairing that relationship as well. So thanks for that space. Didn't mean to interrupt you, buddy.
Oh, I love it. And I think it's important for us to be vulnerable and be honest with everybody that this is not easy for us. And again, we're not pretending to know you and your world. And so we do the best we can. And it's important for us to be vulnerable and say we're sorry so that our students can learn, our children can learn to heal and learn to move on from difficult moments of being in a family. And so we're going to offer another tool here. It's called Life Course Tools. It's Charting the Life Course, and you can read the screen. It's from the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Institute for Human Development, created by families to help individuals and families of all abilities and all ages. The original intention perhaps was for individuals with disabilities and their families, but this can be used by all. And what this does is help develop a vision for a good life and also discover what it takes to do so, that it just doesn't happen. And we think about what each person needs to know and do within regards to the actual child and youth and those that are wrapping around the child and youth, and just to identify and how to find or develop supports. And this resource comes directly, again, from PETA, which I mentioned earlier, from the Special School District. And so we wanted to offer this as an idea that we've been talking so much about that current state in the moment, how you're going to interact proactively with awareness and listening. And what Charting the Life course offers us is a chance to take what's happening in the moment and start thinking about those next steps. How can we be aware of what our youth might need in the future? And is it the same as us? Is it different? Are we really listening to what our child and youth really want? Are we providing empathy when perhaps what they're offering doesn't match what we want as well? So Charting the Life course takes our supportive framework and extends it to beyond just the household and what may happen next. I'm going to offer a couple of the templates because I want you to have a chance to see them. I'm not going to dive in too deep here because we're going to give you resources and contact to explore more. But these two frames are so ideal as we think about the life trajectory for families. And as we think about it as a family unit, what does the vision for a good life as a family look like? And what don't we want also? And this emphasis of knowing what we want and what we don't want is key to understanding that what might trigger us in the moment when perhaps we don't get what we want or what we're seeking falls flat. And when we think about that family unit and the diverse needs and unique emotions and feelings and interests, especially for our children and youth, this is vital for us to be aware, to listen, to have empathy, so that we can work together to figure out what does that vision look like. And these are two templates to allow a collaborative conversation and really for listening. And for integrated supports, it goes a little bit deeper. It talks about what are the issues around, not issues, but what are the technology supports that an individual may need to move forward in their life to meet the goals? What are their personal strengths and assets? What relationships are necessary in order to really move forward in this life in a proactive and productive manner, and also a fulfilling life as well. And you can see the other two frames are what are the community-based needs and resources that we need to consider. And for students with diagnosed disabilities, be it education or medical, what are some of those eligibility specific needs that we need to be considering for the future as well? So Charting the Life course is just an ideal tool, resource for you as a family and for supporting your youth for those next steps as we think about the supporting framework and really moving forward in our life. And these are just two of the resources available. There are so many more that you can explore and jump into. And so we wanted to offer this resources page. You can see here the Special District of St. Louis County. You, of course, know that website. But more importantly, I wanted to point out the SSD Parent Education and Diversity Awareness Program. You can see their email. Please email them. They are the most wonderful people in the world. There's a phone number and resources, links, and more information. Reach out to them. They are ready to talk to you, and especially about Charting the Life course as well.
So as we consider where we've been, we landed in our initial time together around this supportive framework and you at the center, and how we might use empathy towards ourselves, and talked about STEMs when we're supporting those close to us. And that comes through awareness and intention and listening. And just coming back and connecting to that, this can be super challenging and yet really rewarding. The life of a caregiver and supporting our children to be the best versions of themselves. And that takes patience. It takes patience with ourselves, and it takes patience with them.
And so we framed the series for you. Oh my gosh, this has been such a wonderful gift for Ryan and I. We talked about your connections to self-regulation. Adults first, folks. Adults that are regulated, adults that have that calm mind and calm body are more capable and ready to co-regulate and walk beside your child and youth. They're watching you. We know that, and that's one of the disability aspects of a caregiver, is that we are human and we're frail and we fall down, and sometimes we are not perfect. And that's life. That life can be hard. But we're going to do our best in the moment to be regulated, to try to be calm, so that we can model and coach and support our students, our children, in their regulation as well. And then we also think about home, and we offered some intentional strategies also for you to think about. And those final framework, especially what Ryan offered you in Charting the Life course, these are just hopefully some practical, doable kind of planning resources that you can consider as you move forward as a caregiver.
So we just want to land ultimately with a thank you for spending time with us, and knowing that it can be hard to carve out 15 to 30 minutes to listen and consider these offerings. So again, a deep thank you. Be well, be safe, and take care of you.
And we just thank you for this space, and for Ryan and I having a chance to be vulnerable and sometimes less than perfect with the words that we chose, or some pop-ups here and there. And we wanted to keep it real with you, and we're hoping that you found that valuable, versus offering you information and knowledge and strategies that maybe didn't fit based on your current state. And so we appreciate your patience and your empathy and your listening to us as well. And we are just so grateful for all you do, especially as a caregiver. Thank you so much.